Should we send a message to the other party and see how far that they are into the town?
Feel like that wouldn't hurt. I know it was made very clear that we should not be seen arriving from the other town. So we shouldn't just like walk across the lake or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, I mean, we can cross the river. We just don't want to do it in town. We can go out of town a bit, cross, and then come back in.
Yeah.
Just so.
Yeah, what time is it in game right now? Because we were gonna contact the other party in the evening.
Oh, we were gonna go walking down to the river bank first, right? To see
Yeah, we were
if
gonna
we can
scout
find
it.
the outtake. Yeah, that's right.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do that.
That's correct. You said, if I remember right, the main thoroughfare through town ends part way, and then we're walking through people's yards to get to the riverfront. Is that right? And if I remember right, I asked if there were any boats. Not that there were anything docked, but like pedestrian boats that were pulled up ashore. There was no boats anywhere around. There were no trees to make boats from. I remember that's we did play that out, right?
Yeah, they hate each other so much they cut down all the trees so you can't get there, and there's no forest allowed, or no forest, no boats allowed in between the two cities.
What are the most of the buildings made out of? Gotcha. Got ya. And the terrain here is all like flat plains land, right? There's no hills until like way off in the distance to the south. Sure. Okay. And there's
Sandy,
no
you might be
there's no
muted on the
pedestrian
screen.
docks at all.
This is funny. Sandy has been describing what we're going to be doing. It involves a lot of things.
I know what the issue.
I heard you then. Now I don't.
Why are you not working?
So, like, when you said, "Why are you not working?" I heard you echo briefly.
Okay, you
Yeah,
should hear
Quick
me
said you
now
were
because
good for
I've
a second
fixed
too.
it. So it should be working now.
Yep, working.
Yeah. Okay, well that's always fun. Technical issues that we've got there. The stream not working. So yeah. Basically, I've just been describing to the players what's been going on. They've been asking questions and they've been getting their answers. Uh, and I'll see if I can't fix that issue so it doesn't happen again. All right. Okay, so does anybody else have any questions about what you're doing, where you're wanting to go?
think our current plan is figure out what's going on, where the water comes out, just for fun, and then
If I
go
recall, it's
down the
being
road.
cleaned by a magic
Yeah, it's being
grate,
cleaned by
right?
magic, which is neat.
Right.
We just sort of wondered where it came out.
Yeah. It flows out to the river. Where specifically is going to be tough to track because there's not an obvious flowing part because it's far enough underground that you won't see where it's obviously spilling into the moving river.
And Ore turned into a small fish.
Ore could turn into a small fish, or Ore could turn into something much larger than a small fish.
Mhm. Like if I recall, Ore was kind of afraid to turn into anything while down in the sewer and pass through that grate.
Yeah, I didn't even think about wild shaping, which I'm a druid. I should think about that sometimes. Um, I'm gonna go.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
turn to a
you could
crocodile.
catch a fish and put one through and see what happens.
Sure. I'm gonna turn into a crocodile and kind of explore the offshore section. Before I turn into it, can I make some sort of an observation to see if there are any other dangerous entities in the water?
Uh, in the sewer, you're going back there, or are you going to the river?
In the riverfront. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, um, yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check just to see if you notice anything under the flowing river.
Rolling. That is a 21.
Okay. So the movement of the river makes it hard to see if there is anything that's an immediate threat there. Um, you can see that there are things underneath the water, but what they are, you can't quite tell. People do fish out of the river, as you know from talking with the local wizard, but whether anything is a threat to you or not remains to be seen.
How big are the things moving in the water comparatively in size?
They vary. So most of what you can see are fairly small, your standard fish size, but there are some larger ones. So there was obviously the large fish that was pulled out of here by that wizard that he told you about.
Sure, river monster. Got it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll turn into a crocodile and I'll go about 20 feet from the shoreline and investigate how deep the river goes. And if there's any other noticeable evidence of something larger roaming around the water, prints in the sediment. This is pretty muddy water, right? Because of the speed that it's moving and the surrounding swampland.
So this there isn't surrounding swampland here. You're far enough north of Typhon's to be out of that. But that is what Typhon's Folly is it's essentially very muddy, murky ground, is what they've told you.
Does the water run north?
So the water runs off to the west.
Are we starting a TV show about hunting river monsters?
So
I mean, I'm here
Well,
for it.
If
I
we
just want to be clear.
if we do, we're gonna run out of content in like what was it, 3 years? Because we'll hunt all the river monsters.
got to
Yeah.
use a 410 crossbow.
Crikey! If this guy bites you, you're a goner.
mhm. But you as a crocodile swimming in there, you are the biggest thing in there that you notice.
Cool.
And the river goes down about 30 feet.
Is that the lowest of the river, or is that just within 30 feet of the shoreline? It drops 30 feet down.
That is the lowest point, but it's pretty much almost immediate drop off from stepping out onto the shore.
Oh, okay. So it goes sharp into the river. Got it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna take off. I'll do a lap. Um, let's say 50 feet north, circle out 30 feet, 100 feet back to the east, and then circle back around to where everybody is on the shoreline.
Okay. So just do a nice little circle there.
Just a nice little circle there.
Okay. So there are several fish swimming up or down the river going on, but there's not anything that's an obvious threat to you here. As you swim around, you don't notice anywhere for this water to come flowing out into the river.
Oh, for the sewer to flow out into the river.
Hmm.
Gotcha.
And that's just based on your position and how far you said you were wanting to swim. So,
I okay. Yeah, I'll stay a crocodile and then just go marching up very slowly out of the water. Uh, Little mecha crocodile coming up to the party. Kind of shake my head. No, didn't see anything.
Well, sounds like we head down river and cross then.
I have to. We have to do it tomorrow.
There.
I don't have the spell prepared till morning.
Then we'll eat some food and take a nap.
How 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 wide is this river at this point from town to town?
from here, it's about half a mile across.
I head back into the water and I'm going to time myself to see how long it takes me to cross the river.
Okay.
I'm not going to exit onto the shore on the other side. I'm going to stay within about 20 feet of the other side and then double back.
Okay. And you're just timing from side to side, or you're timing round trip?
Side to side and round trip, kind of doing it both.
Okay. What's your speed as a
As a
crocodile?
crocodile, it is 30 feet swimming, so it's the same speed. Do I have giant crocodile? Let me see if I would have turned into a giant crocodile if I had that, but I don't think I have that on my list. I don't. So just crocodile, 30 feet.
Okay. So you can move 60 feet around. Okay. So gotta do the math here. Sorry, it's taking a bit.
Hey, D&D math, that's why people turned in.
Right. So it is 264 seconds to get from one side to the other. So
Like
about
5
four.
minutes.
So about 4.5 minutes.
Cool. In that time, do I notice if the river drops any deeper in the center?
Mm-mm. It seems to be about 30 feet most of the way across. It gets slightly deeper, but not too much.
Cool. And if I bob my head up on the other side just very quickly, I don't see any docks, even pedestrian docks, rowboat docks, none of that on their side either.
Correct. You don't see anything like
Cool.
that. Um, so nothing obvious. There are a few people standing over there on the edge. When you do pop up, they all freak out a bit and start running away. A few of them chuck some rocks at you, but none of them manage to connect.
So no rolling for initiative. Got it. Yeah, once I do the round trip, I'll just pop up and then revert back to the mechanical ore. It's about 2.5 minutes to 5 minutes round trip, 2.5 minutes to the other side. I could
No, no.
potentially ferry us all over.
It's about 5 minutes to the other side, so just about 10
Oh,
round trip.
10 round trip. Gotcha. Okay, I
Mm.
misunderstood. It's about 5 minutes to the other side. I could ferry us if you would like that.
I like the plan where we stay and eat and take a nap.
As always.
It's a good plan.
Time for a patented AAP meal scene.
All right. So you guys just want to go get some food, stay another night at the inn, and
I
mean,
Zerdig would prefer to have an exit plan before we do that. I mean, it's like mid-afternoon, but we should figure out more about how we're getting over there.
right. Um, I should probably also remind you, since no one has brought it up today, that you did tell the mayor that you would come back and pick up his letter that he was going to be writing, so that you would hand deliver it to the
Mhm.
council, and also that he wanted you out of his city as soon as you were done talking with his grandmother.
we are still talking to her, and she can't say otherwise because she doesn't remember us.
And
Remember,
technically,
she lives in his house.
half of us are outside the city right now.
Yeah, with Ore needing neither naps or lunch, he is going to continue to go up and down the coast on this side and try and see if he can find that outlet for the sewer.
Okay.
Yeah, and Zerdig and Z2 were with Ore, so we'll just keep with him because we're not hungry yet, and we have rations in our backpack if we have to. Rations.
Okay. So yeah, it's easy enough for you to find it if you spend the time going up and down the riverbank to find the outlet, and it is just an outflow. Can swim up it a bit, and eventually you'll come to that same grate in the sewer, um, just from the other side.
How far up from if I as Ore, not as a crocodile, traversed up the outlet, about how far from the river is that grate?
Like 100 feet.
Oh, so not very far at all. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you were just, you know, since you went from the center of the city instead of the west part of it,
Sure.
you weren't finding it on your initial dive. Okay. So who is going back to talk to the mayor, or are you just gonna kind of ignore him now?
I can go pick it up. I was the one that offered.
Okay.
So
All
We
right.
didn't specifically say when we would take his letter. We just said we would take it.
Yeah. I
yeah,
know.
we'll let him know. Okay, we'll get it. Spend. I'll spend another night in the end. I don't want to sleep out in the woods. Um,
I mean, there's no woods to sleep in. So.
exactly. Well, I don't even. I don't want to just sleep out on a field outside town.
Having
Right next to
having
the road.
having swum up the clean water, am I no longer smelly from the sewer from earlier that morning?
Essentially, yeah. You took
Cool.
basically a mighty bath.
All right. Ore comes out all shining and clean. Hey,
All right. What's everybody else wanting to be doing? So Alondiel's going to go talk to the mayor here by themselves, or are people going with?
I guess I'll go with him. If he gets angry, grumpy pants at us or whatever for any reason, we can just let him know,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna spend the night here and then go out into the woods and do some investigations.
Yeah,
it,
Ito will go there as well, if only for the intimidation factor from being a very large man.
if he waits to go up there until Ore is out of the tunnel, Ore will follow as well.
That's going to be up to you guys to decide when you want to do that. So, Alondiel, since you're the one making that call to go talk to him.
If I'm fine waiting for him to come out of the river.
Okay. And Zerdig and Sazi, are you going to follow along, or are you guys going to do something on your own?
Zerdig will go along.
Yeah, I'm fine following the group.
Okay, cool. It sounded like you guys wanted to do different things for a bit, and so I was just clarifying where we're at, so I know what to do. Okay. So it's
For
Go ahead.
For about 5 minutes after getting out of the tunnel and walking back into town, Ore is like leaking like a sieve out of various parts of his body, let's just draining out that water from coming out of the tunnel.
I'm just imagining you like, like a little kid that comes off a water ride and they just leave like a little trail of liquid behind them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's leaking out. Like there's cavities inside Ore's structure that held some of that moisture. And as I'm walking around, it's just letting all of that moisture out. I'm drip drying.
Okay. It's easy enough for you guys to make your way back into the city and to the town where the mayor is, into City Hall. Um, as you come in, um, he quickly approaches you and hands you the letter. And when can I expect this to be delivered to the council?
We're traveling by land. As soon as we finish our investigation and then return to report, we'll deliver it with our report.
Very well. Will you please let me know once it has been delivered?
I'll send you.
All right. Now, get out of my town.
Man, this mayor has great people skills. Here, please deliver this letter. Now get out.
I mean, he's
Uh,
not totally unjustified
we
in his reaction.
we would like to further the economy a little bit by spending one last night, and we'll leave first thing in the morning. After, of course, paying for our rooms and meals. The inn mentioned they'd been a little slow, and we'd be happy to help provide them with some furthered income, and we'll leave in the morning.
Patronize them, if you will.
That's the word.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check.
Boop, boop, boo.
Does he get that with the advantage assistance?
Mm-mm.
That is an 11.
He looks you up and down for a moment and goes, I understand. No council business. No more questions of my people while you are here. Until the council answers to us, we will not answer to them. You may
I can agree
stay
to
and
that.
spend your money, but that is it as far as the city's cooperation is.
That's
Okay.
fair.
Sounds like we have a deal.
Do you
We'll
want to
get.
specify we're more like private contractors? Just saying. Like we don't get to be involved in the making of their decisions.
But you said you're here on their business. If you were not here on their business, then you would be welcome.
We're here on business that happens to align with theirs. We we also appreciate a vacation.
Well, you've already told me that you have work to do, and you'll turn in the letter once that's done. So until you turn in that letter, you're on council business as far as I'm concerned, whether you want to be on vacation or not.
Fair enough. All right, let's go.
So yeah, best restaurant around?
We don't have many. I'm sure you'll
Oh,
find it.
okay. Fair enough.
we're done here, so we're gonna leave and look around and look for a place that looks like people might be eating at.
Okay. So you went to the tavern earlier in today because you were talking with the young barkeep.
Yeah, we
So
hung out there. Is that the only place, really?
yeah, so it's their
That's
or
somebody's house.
somebody's house and their generosity, which you probably can't rely on.
Yeah, fair. So I guess we'll head back to the tavern then, and the super young dude that works there.
Yep.
We did talk to that very sweet old lady. I bet she would let us go stay there.
His grandmother?
Yeah, yeah. Really rub it
No,
in.
I don't think that would work. That's a good way to get thrown in jail.
Yep.
Been there, done that, don't need to do it again.
That's how they know we were here.
Happens.
I guess we'll just meet up at the inn and grab any of the team members that happen to be wandering around.
Okay.
Let them know.
So yeah,
Or tavern.
you're able to go and head over to the tavern. You get your food there. And is there anything else that you're wanting to do in the city besides food and then grab a room in the inn?
Yeah,
While
leave. Zerdig's opinion of all these overlanders, not good. He hasn't met a city that seems competently run or compassionate anywhere.
I mean, Steel was very competently run.
Yeah, but
Steel was
okay.
nice. Steel was very nice.
Overlanders and
Weirdly-
Haptharini. He does like steel.
I'm
And
just gonna
Drusus
get
has
us
run
level
quite well as well, but
To be
That was not
fair,
his impression. We show up in
Yeah.
Drusus and they were like, "You guys are suckers. We hate you. You can't do that." And then we left. So no, he was not cool with that.
you were the one that, joined with the band of misfits.
When opportunity comes knocking at your door.
And they didn't particularly advertise as the Misfits.
Why would we?
Once we're sit down at dinner, Ore is not going to order anything, but he is going to ask the group, is it common for organic folk to be so upset all the time in these towns? It feels there's a certain isolation amongst your kind.
Apparently that's the norm up here above the ground.
well, I mean, imagine you required a part component, right? Or some information from the library, and you sent them messages for years and years and years, and they just accepted your messages. You got them, and then they just never said anything back. And you were far enough away that, say, you couldn't go there by yourself. I mean, I imagine at a certain point you would get annoyed.
Yes, I could see that for this town, but with the troubles we ran into under the mountain and the issues in Kuche, and even some of the other towns we visited, there seems to be a displeasure or sense of isolation from the rest of the world. I just don't know if that is normal amongst your folk.
You might have missed the part where we've been teleporting, but if you don't teleport, it can be months walking from location to location. And if you live months away from someone, which means that any message will take twice that distance to get there and back, that is isolation.
Well,
So
and our group is very diverse, you might say. And there have been tensions between different groups for quite a while, such as the Knolls and the tabaxi and the wilds.
Understood. Do most places have contention between races? I apologize. I'm not very familiar with this level of social interaction.
I believe the issue is not that most places have contention between the races, but that most places have contention with people not from those places. You form a community, and if you're suffering troubles, such as things that, for example, in Drusus, there are less troubles. The people there don't suffer the same way that people out here, far away from the capitals and whatnot, do.
Understood. I think. Thank you. That does add some clarity.
Yeah, what Zeki was saying, it sort of turns into an us versus them sort of thing. That they see anyone who isn't kind of with them in their suffering is part of the group that's responsible for it.
And this is common in most places.
It's not uncommon.
I certainly did not encounter much of it in my home. However, it is also worth noting that my home was almost entirely comprised of one singular race. I was the
Well,
exception to that. So
how aware of higher
here
level
we
politics
find
were you?
me. Pardon?
How aware of higher level politics were you? We've been interacting with people at the top of administrative chains in each area.
This is fair. This is fair. I do note that we had significantly fewer of these isolation or lack of communication problems. However, I'm not about to begin that debate after recent events.
I want stew.
You always want stew.
That's not true. I'm gonna order a stew. Sometimes I have meat.
You prefer
Did you know
stew
you
meat.
can? Yes, you can put meat in stew.
Is that sense of isolation the reason we have pseudonyms?
That's just for fun, to be honest.
Oh,
I
I
come from
see.
a city that can't be named, so changing your name is not uncommon.
Ah, very well. So I liked the name Bruce, which is why I chose it. Does it seem to suit me?
I think with the beard you make a good Bruce, yes.
Thank you.
Does
You can
Ori's
be
beard
whatever
get,
you want.
does Ori's beard get absorbed when he wild shapes? I would assume so because it's like equipment technically.
Yeah, all the rest of the equipment gets kind of absorbed into, packed into the mecha animal that I turn into.
I'm going to imagine that instead you turn into a mecha animal with a beard. Just because that's funnier.
It is honestly that is that, but I think that would be stressing the beard itself, since the beard is
Well, it's
artificial.
at that point it's a magical beard, right? Like, because it shifts based on the change. So it's like you're a robo crocodile with a beard.
But at that point, it just becomes like a goatee, like it's a
Yeah,
crocodile
it's a
goatee at
little
that
tiny.
point.
Goatee. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a bayou.
Okay.
All right, so we eat something probably boring.
I mean, you order some stew, you get some stew.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a
I'm just not expecting much out of this tiny town.
it's a nice hearty fish stew.
It's nice.
Like a
Yep.
gumbo.
I had like a
Not
fish
quite,
stew.
but yeah.
If you've never had a good fish stew, I strongly recommend you try it sometime. It's good stuff. All right, and then I
Alright.
don't think we really have anything else we need to do besides just go to bed and get ready to travel in the.
Yeah.
Or we need to send the message. I'm gonna be like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. But
Okay.
didn't Alondiel say it is unprepared today? So it's gotta be tomorrow
I
morning.
have sending prepared.
Yeah, he doesn't have water
Oh, cool.
walking. Yeah, water walking was what we were lacking, so we can't walk across the water right now
Yeah.
because we don't have that yet.
Right. And
But I can't
Alundiel
send.
made good friends with Granite from the other party. So definitely has someone to send a message to.
Just hey,
Cool.
bud, how you doing?
Should we cross the river in the morning, or should we head south further into the swamp in the morning?
I think we've definitely discussed leaving town, heading a ways away, and then crossing, so we're outside of sight.
Yeah. We don't want it to look
Yeah.
like we're coming from 2 T's to 1 T because they'll be very mad.
2 M's
Okay,
to 1
so
M.
Yeah, whatever it is.
North Hamlet to South Hamlet. Got it. If do we want to just kind of head into the swamp a little bit and investigate the swamp before we head over to South Hamlet, or
That's
just go straight
beyond
to South
South
Hamlet?
Hamlet, so
That's beyond. Okay.
Yeah, we just want to go far enough away that it doesn't look like we're coming from North Hamlet. We don't really want to go on a whole side adventure down the swamp yet. Like, let's start with the 2 cities, see what rumors they have, and then form a plan.
And then wander into the swamp.
Exactly.
How long ago did you say? It was like 100+ years ago that the children were disappearing.
yeah. Over 100 years ago.
And nobody believes her. And our guess right now is that it's possible that the disappearance stuff is more something that's happening south of here, closer to the lands of the Duke. And I know he's not the Duke; he's Duke, but I call him the Duke.
Yes.
Though I do share the information for the abandoned homes, where some felt like they were rushed to get out, and a few they just never showed up back at their home again. And it feels like it's been over years that some of those places have been abandoned. And I think wasn't the last disappearance 40 years ago, but the disappearances the mayor's mom conveyed to us
Yes.
were 140 years ago. So there's been
Yes.
multiple disappearances over
Yeah,
those
They've
the
been
times.
most
going on for
recent
a
one,
while.
the body was found though. They recovered, and it looked like he'd been mauled by beasts.
Something.
Yeah.
And there was livestock missing.
Got it.
That
Yeah,
was
and if
So
you
he was
there's
missing for
obviously
3
something.
months.
Yeah, there's obviously something going on, but it might just be that there's some sort of wild animal in the area stalking the area. And
yeah, and
that
it sounds like
Yeah.
it sounds like the ones from 100 years ago was like a whole bunch of people at once, and then since then it's been like every few years one. So the frequency has definitely decreased.
Yeah, so they may be unrelated. They may not be. It may just be a very clever lich cult.
Okay.
Clearly, if there was something organized a long time ago, and then it's just been random, like normal beast disappearances since, and people just keep ascribing it to the same thing.
Well, 140 years ago, it was children.
Well, yeah. What message are we sending to the other group? Just kind of a hey.
I was thinking,
got any-
has Hamlet had any recent disappearance? Last year was decades ago, and missing children over 100 years ago that no one believes.
Seems good.
Okay, so what are you sending exactly?
Let me make sure that is 23 words. So I think that is enough. That they're in
Yeah, read it
Hamlet
out to 'em.
with 1M2T. Correct. Yeah. Is Hamlet had any recent disappearances? Last year was decades ago, and missing children over 100 years ago that no one believes.
Should we let them know that we're going to cross
Coming
tomorrow?
tomorrow. I have 2 words left.
Yeah, coming tomorrow.
Coming tomorrow.
Okay. You get the reply back from Granite. Haven't arrived in the city yet. Taking the road takes longer to get there, but it's the safest place to cross the river. Talk later.
Okay. Cool. We'll beat him, which means we don't have to double down on people like we already talked to somebody about this.
this poor other party. They're like, sure, we'll go help. We go handle the city, get there to the other city at the same time or before them, and probably handle that as well.
Yep. All right. Anything else that you want to do or send any more messages?
That's my. I don't have any more slots, so.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask the tavern keeper if there's any other small towns in the surrounding area or heading south further into the swamp.
Yeah. So he will confirm that there are a few smaller cities in the swampy area towards Typhon's Folly, all the way along towards Blue Lake. They're just kind of dotted around, but they're not large enough to really be concerned and put on maps. But there are small, essentially, groups of people that
Little
are all about.
that small town living. Um, any that are off the road?
Technically, they're all off the road because there's no roads going through Typhon's Folly.
Ah, good point. Okay. So if we headed south, we would run into a handful of these, depending on how far we're moving south.
Yeah, so he's like, if you cross the river, go south away from the other city, and continue on south like you're headed towards the Blue Lake, you'll run into a few cities. If when you reach the lake's edge, if you head west towards the coast, you'll find a few more cities there until you wrap around and meet the city of Blue Lake on the coastal front of said Blue Lake.
Thank you.
All right. If there's nothing else that you're wanting to do tonight while you're in the city, you may all go ahead and take your long rest. Um, Ito, that should put you back to full health. I think we accidentally healed you to full health the last time, forgetting about your current condition from being affected by the mist. But this second long rest should get you to full now, because you haven't done anything to
I
take
don't know, but
damage.
I don't know, but my current sheet, sheet currently shows 20 out of 54. So I'm just gonna assume that I go to full now. Hopefully,
Yeah.
And their ailment doesn't get better just from long rests, right? They
It,
have to
it
just
hasn't
like
yet, at
restore.
least. So, yeah. But I mean, it's been like 5 days, 6 days. So it hasn't been very long.
Zirdig can prepare lesser restoration, so can he try and use a couple slots before bed on them?
Yeah,
We have
you can
tested
try.
that.
You have tried
It
lesser
didn't do
restoration
anything.
before.
We need.
Oh yeah,
greater.
it needs greater, huh?
Hmm.
Yeah. Can we just well since we're long resting anyways, he'll pump 2 lesser restos into Ito and see if it does anything.
It does not, unless Ito is suffering from something else that I don't know about.
All right, good to know.
Ito is not.
Okay.
Before bed, Ore's going to take Zirdig aside and ask him, "How are you holding up?"
Oh, thanks for asking, Ore. I think I'm doing pretty well. Um, I do not like the laws or people above ground. I don't understand, like you were saying, why they're so isolated and mean to each other. But I'm doing fine.
I I felt like I needed to apologize for the day before last. In the evening, when we were talking about the stars, they seemed to make you very uncomfortable. And I understand that you come from a land down under. However, there is nothing to be afraid of. And I was wondering what it is about the stars that makes you uneasy.
Well, thank you, Ori. I don't think that you need to apologize for anything. But when you live with a roof over your head for your entire life, nearly 100 years, and then you go outside and there is no roof and just a vast blackness punctuated by lights in the sky, it is quite jarring.
I do understand. I've of the life I've remembered, I grew up in a tower, staring at the night sky, staring at stars. While I was under the mountain, I was fairly uncomfortable because there weren't stars to gaze upon for the evening.
Yes, I can understand that. Just as it's unnerving for me to be up here with no roof over my head, it must have been unnerving for you when you were under mountain for how long was it? 2 months with no stars overhead.
Yes, though other circumstances predicated our attention, it was slightly uncomfortable for me beneath the mountain. But I wanted to see that you're doing okay. I agree with you. The societies we've run into upon the lands have been different from my expectations. That solitary sense that they seem to have is quite concerning to me.
You and me both. Although I do, you asked if there was anything, how I was holding up. I'm doing quite fine, although I am a little bit irked. I wish I had more time to work on my masterpiece, but I'll have to wait until we find a more stable workshop for me to work in.
Would it help if you understood the stars a little better while when we are traveling and camping under the stars at night?
Perhaps. I think I'm getting more used to them now, having been up here for more than a 10 day.
If in the days to come that we are camping underneath the stars, remind me to tell you their names. I find there's comfort in that information.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ori. I think I'd appreciate that.
It is my pleasure.
Well, hopefully we don't have another incident like we had in Harrington. I will sleep here if you don't mind standing in front of the door, and Z2 will be there to provide some backup.
Not at all. The room that we're staying in, does it have a window?
Yes.
Does it have curtains or shutters?
Shutters.
Gotta close them
Once
so that the fog doesn't get in.
everyone falls asleep, Ore is going to step away from the door and open the shutters to be able to see outside, and then reposition himself in the door, sitting in front of the door, but be able to look up out through the window and see the night sky.
Okay. Easy enough to do. Anybody else have anything they're wanting to do in the evening before you rest? No? Okay. Alondio. As you are resting and in your trance, a dream comes over you. You're walking through the city, Hamlet, that you've just arrived in. There are several children running about, having a good time laughing. As you watch the people go about, you notice a few of the children disappear around a corner. You go instinctively chasing after them from the story that the village elder told you. You get around the corner and you see nothing. The children are just gone. You look around for a moment, searching for any kind of clue to see if anything is going on, if anything is happening. You can't find even their footprints. They've just vanished completely, as if they were never here. As you have this realization, the vision shifts and changes, and you see a statue in the middle of an area that is just full of overgrown plants and muck. The statue covered in vines that are growing up around it. As you look at this statue, looking around where you are, for a moment the statue's eyes flash green, and you come to consciousness in the middle of the night, drenched completely in sweat.
Wipe my face off in my sleeves and try and find if we left like decanter of water in the room or something to get a drink.
Yeah, easy enough to do. You all have your own water flasks.
Are we in separate rooms or the same room, Alondiel and I?
Normally the elves have been sleeping together, so I'm assuming that you are still there. So
Yeah,
it's
usually
been
it's the elves and Ore.
Mhm.
Because we're the ones that don't really sleep. So
As he wakes up, I notice and I'm like, "Are you okay?"
I saw something. It's odd. I was here in Hamlet. There were children. It was happy. They were laughing, and then I saw them turn a corner. I remembered what she said. They would just disappear, and I ran after them. I couldn't let them go. It was dangerous. They had to be warned, and they were gone. Without a trace. Nothing. No footprints. No any sign of dust or disturbed ground. As if they ceased to exist. And then I was took upon by another sensation, and I was shifted to a place that I can't describe very well other than dense, viney, mucky, wild wilderness with a lone statue. And then the statue's eyes. What? Was the statue a discernible race?
Because of the coverings of the vines of it, you
Just
could
humanoid
not
is what I could get
distinguish
from it.
that. Yeah, just it was humanoid of some
Okay.
sort.
It was covered in vines. I couldn't get a good idea as to what it was. And it looked and its eyes flashed green, and here I am, awake, stirred from my trance. It's been a while since I've had something so vivid come upon me.
Do you remember any of the other geography from around that statue? Or was it just swampland?
Um,
It's
could I
not
make?
quite swamp, but it's definitely headed in that direction. Because you've been, obviously, in the Swamp of the Wilds, where there was a lot more water about,
Mm-hmm.
whereas this is just muck and mud. Not a lot of, like,
More wetland, not quite swamp.
yeah.
Ore's going to sit down in front of the door and pull out of his bag a parchment and a pen, and he's going to start writing down exactly what Elondiel said.
I
Just
try to capture the statue covered in vines in my notebook. I'm
Okay.
gonna draw it.
Go ahead and make a check with your painter supplies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead and just make a. We'll call this one intelligence because it's your memory that you're relying on of the dream,
Okay.
and
And
then add your proficiency for your
my
painters.
proficiency, I'll just do the intelligence roll. So that's a 15
Okay.
with proficiency.
You're fairly satisfied with the drawing there. Um, you're fairly certain you've got its proportions right, but you can't make out anything specific about who they are, what race they are, just from the fact that it's covered in vines. But you got pretty good of the vines wrapping around it, almost essentially strangling it. But there are some that are hanging as well that you got in, as well as the surrounding lands with the muck and mud everywhere. Even that up on the statue. And so you're fairly confident that this is what you saw in your dream.
Okay. I got a decent enough capture of it that I'm like, okay, yes, I feel good. Okay. And then I'll show that to Ore. I'm like, this is what I saw.
But you don't remember any of the other surrounding terrain, just that statue specifically and kind of what it looked like.
I did not capture any distinctive features other than the nature of it being wetlandy with plenty of vegetation. I was too enraptured by the sudden shift in the vision and taking in the statue before me.
Ore's gonna memorize the sketch or the drawing or painting of the statue as best he can.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else that you two want to talk about, you can resume your rests, and everybody can go ahead and take their long rest. And the morning is yours to do with as you wish.
Let's get out of here.
I want to eat before I hit the road.
Yeah.
I can't remember how tolerable their breakfast was.
It was pretty good.
If I recall,
Yeah.
yeah, it was tolerable. So get some food, then bounce.
Yeah. All right. So, which way out of the city do you want to head to then go and cross the river?
Ore would suggest south.
Well, south is to the river, so
Southeast along the river's edge,
okay.
trying to get a little closer to the wetlands because he's very interested in if something is going on there before we cross.
Okay.
I mean, if we've got a reasonable reason to go elsewhere, we can go elsewhere. Just saying.
I feel like the wetlands might be like, I think that statue's in the folly. I fill in everybody about my trance dream vision.
Yeah.
And
At this
I'm
point,
like, there's something definitely connected here.
Mizeki would prefer to let the other group do the investigating in the north section if we've got something we think we can follow.
I just have no idea where to find this
Yeah.
thing. And
Do
we're
we have any
pretty
spells for
out
that?
of. The wizard lived near the entrance of town, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
I'm
it's
fine
little
knocking on his door on the way out. This
Okay.
still is, yeah.
Okay.
See if, because he came down from the top of the hand of the gods, right? So
Mhm.
he might have encountered something similar to this on his way to Hamlet. No, he took a boat. Either way, I want to ask the wizard if any of his studies
Okay.
has informed him of anything.
So as you go and you knock on the door, you're greeted by the large hulking figure. He goes, "So, I'm surprised you're still here."
We are heading out. The mayor made his desires fairly explicit. I had an experience last night, and I wondered if you'd come across, and I pull out my notebook and I flip to the page of the statue that I drew. Um, any notes or any of your studies that you've done it while you're in Hamlet about um, a statue potentially in the folly, or encountered anything that might look like this?
So he looks at your drawing, and for a moment, how much history do you know?
In this area of the world, I am not thoroughly versed in the local history of the folly here.
I have read extensive books in regards to the history of this area. I may know something.
Go ahead and make a history check.
Oh, I should have said I know a lot of stuff about here.
That's a 17.
Okay. So in your study of the follies, you know that the follies, for the most part, are generally named after the person that caused them. It's not true of all of the follies in the world that you have studied, but Typhon is one of them. And so it's a name that you've come across. And Typhon was a great archmage of the time. As Thamel looks over this, he goes, I think this might be Typhon himself. He was always arrogant and self-aggrandizing, loved to have his image everywhere. It would not surprise me if he made a statue of himself.
In my reading of Typhon, do I know what race he is?
Typhon was human.
And from what I've read, does the drawing Elondiel did kind of represent the description that I've read of him?
It's hard to see through the vines, but it could be.
Does the green eyes trigger anything in the reading, like cross referencing?
He had green eyes.
Good to know. That may be along the lines of what I've researched before in regards to Typhon. He was a human with green eyes and an archmage of this area. Thank you. Is there any further information you could provide in regards to Typhon as an archmage of this time, of this area? What was his specialty?
He specialized in various things, but he was mostly known for his work with nature.
Along the lines of a druid, or specifically a wizard focusing on natural magics?
He was most definitely a wizard, studied hard, focused on the growth of plants. Probably could have been a good druid if he had the aptitude for it.
Is there a school of magic that's exclusive to nature?
Not particularly. It crosses over a lot of things, but there's a lot with like transmutation that's involved there. Um, so there's
Okay, thanks.
various things.
Thank you again for your assistance. Alondiel, does this help you?
I think it definitely indicates that there's a connection to the missing children and Typhon.
Perhaps we should venture further into the wetlands to see if we may find a clue in that direction before we cross the river.
There, I'm going to ask the wizard: is there anyone who could perhaps serve as a sort of guide in the area? Because it's a big area.
Not that I know of. No one in this city would venture that far south. Most never even cross the river.
We might be able to find one in Hamlet on the other side. They're closer to the folly.
Yeah, just don't tell them you came from here.
Will not do.
Are you aware of any ruins or ancient structures that may reside in the surrounding area?
That I know of? No. There are rumors of various places, structures that have been overtaken, but I don't know of any here.
What are the rumors? It may assist us in this investigation.
It was always believed that Typhon had a secret lab where he would do his less acceptable experiments somewhere out in the middle of what is now known as Typhon's Folly.
That can prove most beneficial. Thank you again.
We might be able to find a record of his dealings that might point us in a direction at least as to what happened.
As we venture into that area, I may be able to search specifically for his statue if we're within a close enough range to it. Any information that may direct us towards some ruins may assist greatly. I turn back to the wizard. You are a wizard. If you were to build a secret laboratory, what indicators would you give yourself to be able to find it again?
I wouldn't put any indicators to find it again. I would put a way for me to enter it without such need of finding. Teleportation is very common amongst archmages.
Understood. Thank you again for your assistance.
Okay, bye.
Away we go. This is where I wish that the find item stuff spells were better and not like 1,000 feet.
Yeah, they're really kind of limited in.
Yeah, like I wish you could upcast them and the range got bigger because that would be amazing. Like drop like a 6th
Yeah.
level or 5th level spell and it's like 10 miles or whatever.
Mhm.
And that
Even-
would feel very like archmagey, right? You're like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
have learned the magics, and when you get a 3rd level, or whatever, it's 1,000 feet or a mile. And then when you're like an 8th level caster,
Yeah.
you're like, I can survey the entire continent.
Yeah, because I feel like looking for the closest teleportation circle would probably be a good start.
Right.
Well, shall we go?
Yeah, I guess. So are we gonna go try and wander through the swamplands? Is that the plan, or
Or do
I
you
think
still
we
want
want
to
to
go to the
go.
other city?
do we want
I
to
think we
still go
want to
to
go
the other
to the
city and
other
just let them
city
know? All right,
and then
Yeah.
investigate. So we'll go.
that works for me.
Plus, if we go to the other city, we can show up the other party.
Okay.
Against battle.
All right. So how far down the river do you want to go before you cross?
Enough that people wouldn't have been able to see that we came from Hamlet.
Yeah, reasonably out of sight of distant farms, and then another 10 minutes. So
Like
Yeah.
5 or 10 miles past the last structure, the last cultivated land.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when we swing over the river, we can continue going south, like continue that trajectory, so that we
Right.
look even farther away from the northern one.
And so
Yeah,
by the
and-
last cultivated land, are you talking about on your side of the river or what you can see on their side of the river?
On our side of the river.
Okay.
I would vote on their side of the river because if
Yeah,
there's
if we
cultivated
can
land on their
see,
side and they can see us, then they're gonna be like, "Hey, wait,
I guess whichever
Where
is
are we?"
further south.
Okay.
and then an extra little bit after that, just in case.
Okay.
And once we're outside of the city limits, I'm going to turn to Alondiel and I'm going to ask him, do you have the ability to scry to extend your sight beyond sight?
If I request that from Ottenwale, I have not though. As it generally I have to be pretty close
Yeah, and
for it to work.
scrying is also a 5th level spell, so
Yeah, locate
Sure,
object.
it's worth asking.
yeah.
Mhm.
So not,
Alondiel, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say not quite there yet to be able to scry. So
Got ya. Alondiel, I have used my faith in Thalia, almost contradictory to your faith in Aranwell. Tell me of Aranwell.
Oh, the great lady. I don't know if um, all of our compatriots would like a sermon right now. Um, I know we've heard some have unpleasant dealings with some of the gods, so um, maybe we can talk about that. We can go into more details in the evening.
This would just be more casual conversation as we're all like heading south, kind of as a group. Just kind of like pull you aside a little bit and kind of ask you
Yeah,
that
just
question.
gonna be walking for a while.
Yeah, walk and talk type of thing. Just chit chat.
Yeah. Well, Ottenwale is the best. My family has uh, served her in many forms and or functions for generations. We before um, being called by her to action, I had served in the family tomb, watching over taking the last remembrances of those in our clan. And I am here to help keep those alive till their time has come for them to enter her embrace, and those whose time has come to see that they do not escape it.
When you pray and you connect with Arnwell, do you hear her?
Not every time, but I feel it, that connection, uh, regularly as my mind is filled with her magics. I can feel that connection to her. Sometimes more directly than others, um, but receiving her blessings daily is a great boon and strength to know that I am serving her and maintaining that bond.
Thank you. This has been beneficial. I have only recently begun to explore my faith in Thalia, and I too feel her more as a feeling than I have a sense of presence.
I believe she guides me. That the visions that we all had that brought us together initially, the vision that I had this past evening in my trance, I do believe that she does speak and use us. Thalia might have, as you focus on your connection with her, you might be able to receive greater connection as you establish that further bond and trust with Thalia, as I have with Arenwell.
That is what I'm exploring. I did personally want to thank you again for your assistance in getting me some sort of assistance in alleviating the what I believe is a curse on my life force. Um, that has not gone unappreciated. I want you to know I'm grateful for your assistance in helping to alleviate those effects that I have suffered in Harrington.
You are quite welcome. Erinwell has let it known that it is not your time, and as such, I will do what I can to continue to help and alleviate your pains.
If you ever wish to just have a conversation and talk about your divine, I'm very interested in what you have to say.
Oh, I will gladly share. Perhaps this evening, as you commune with Thalia, we can then follow up and discuss more about uh, Thalia's desires, and I can share that of Otterwell and see where we can both be beneficial in serving our deities.
Agreed. I look forward to that. Uh, just offhanded, what does your symbol to Aaronwell look like?
It looks like a holy symbol of Otterwell um, that
Sure, got it.
I
You
will
know, a holy symbol of
elaborate
Arno.
upon further at some point.
This
Not a
reminds me,
problem.
the other day at work, I was called on to give a presentation impromptu, and I was like, yes, okay, totally, yeah. Like buying time to figure it out.
Yes, and
Yes, and
Which I have right here in my notes.
totally. Unfortunately, my copy and paste isn't working, so I can't post it into the chat to show you right now.
No, that's cool. I was just kind of curious what the symbolism is of your what do you have? You have specifically your arcane focus is an emblem to Arnwell.
Yes, it's my holy symbol.
Gotcha.
and it's also emblem on your shield, right?
Yep, and
Yeah.
blazoned on my shield.
Oh, so I have seen it before then. Cool.
Yeah, it
And
was
yes,
the whole reason that you
underpants.
guys got attacked in Harrington was because it was on his shield, and it was very apparent
Yep.
and obvious.
Yeah.
Right.
He's also got
that is a
Armwell
big.
boxers
Yep. Oh, I'm a huge Otterwell fanboy.
and the commemorative towel from the 2020 meeting. You know,
hmm
Okay,
from the last convention.
yeah, the big get together of all the faithful.
all
Yep.
right.
Oh yeah, dude. I've got like multiple filled out stamp cards for temple services. So
plenty of
yeah.
temple services done. Okay.
That temple passport that has all the stamps in it.
Oh yeah. Like my punch. I've got like at least 10 punch cards that have been completed for a free offering. So
Okay. All right. So, based on your decisions of how far you wanted to go before crossing the river, you continue on heading as the river bends and begins to head south. You continue on, and you can see as you're going that um, the city of Hamlet on the other side of the river still goes because as this river flows, it essentially it's flowing north and then curves, and so the southern city of Hamlet is essentially in a nook and has that entire area covered. As you continue on, you get to a place where you can no longer see the city, but up ahead, about 500 feet, you see the bridge to cross the river.
Oof. Well, I mean,
It's almost as if this bridge was placed here as a way to quickly access the city.
But I mean, we can walk on water, guys. Have any of you done it before?
I haven't, and I'm honestly very excited for the idea.
Nope, I have not.
You want to?
Yeah. Yes.
Sure.
Yes, I
Give me
do.
10 minutes, and I ritual cast it.
We can literally walk 500 feet in the 10 minutes. We're all like, all right, let's watch.
Yeah.
We
walk
jumped
on
off
water.
of a mountain.
Yeah,
Just
While
for fun.
and now
while
we're
he's
gonna
sitting
be able
down
to walk
ritually
across
casting
water.
this. While he's sitting down ritually casting this, I mecha transform into mecha crocodile again and kind of look at the group, like shake my head, like anybody want to ride?
I don't think that, because the only one that really would hate to be in the water is Sadzi, and Sadzi would still be in the water on a crocodile.
Satsu would be more in the water on the crocodile.
Sadzi could also just walk the 500 feet to the bridge.
That's true.
Sadzi would just walk the 500 feet to the bridge and watch you all scramble across on your own self.
I'm imagining when they get something on their feet, catwalk across the river. And I'm sad we don't get to see that.
Is there a lot of traffic on the bridge or near the bridge?
Not really. So just like the northern Hamlet, the southern Hamlet doesn't get that much business. But the bridge was placed in so that things could be taken to the city and
People
from the
just
city.
walking by, watching me sit in a field,
So,
shouting in Elvish.
What's that elf doing?
What is the bridge made out of? Is it like stone? Is it wood?
so it is a stone bridge that crosses the river, and the river is at its thinnest point here as well that you've seen so far. Only being about 1,000 feet across.
Okay, and it's like an arched bridge, so there's multiple prongs into the water crossing the span.
Yeah.
Okay. Londiel, I don't believe you need to cast that. There is a bridge
I'm still
right
doing
there.
it. I want to walk on the water.
1000%. Yeah, I want to walk across the water. That sounds amazing.
And it lasts for an hour, so I mean, like, you could really.
Yeah. If we encounter any puddles or something, not a problem.
Just gonna go right over it.
The funniest thing to do would be for Alondiel to tell everybody he cast it and then watch you all step into the water and sink.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, except
Good.
it sounded like a sheer cliff of water. We'd take a step in and be like on our ankles. We'd be like, hey, we're not walking on water now.
You have to go deeper.
It only works
I
if
think your
you
spell
should-
is defective. I'm up to my ankles.
That's how it works, trust me.
Yeah, so I won't stop anybody from that wants to cross the bridge. I just begin my
I think
ritual.
it'd be cool to walk
And
across the
then
river just because.
Up to 10 people who want to come with me can come with me. I'd even bring a rando that wanted to cross at this point.
We got to charge for that. Just be like, hey, do you not want to walk to that bridge? And it's literally right there. You can
Yeah.
walk across instead.
I can walk here.
So
What's the-
Sadzi at max speed, it takes you just over 7 rounds to get to the bridge, and then another 14 to cross it. So you're long across before Alondiel ever even gets the ritual up.
That's
I know.
assuming she's sprinting and running, and not a casual stroll.
Yeah, if she goes full speed, so her 70 feet around that she can do, she reaches the bridge in less than a minute, and then crosses it in less than 2.
And it's worth noting that the ritual part of that spell alone adds 10 minutes.
Yeah. So if she, even walks there, she still beats you by a few minutes.
I'm okay with
So
that.
so she's sitting there, like, crossing her arms, like, "What took you so long?" as we come splashing across the river.
Not
Yeah,
Got
but
it.
splashing. We
it's
walk
not as
across as if
cool.
it's just perfectly solid ground, like a boss. And it counts on water, acid, mud, snow, quicksand, lava. So you don't even get muddy boots.
Well, the
Or I
bottom
would
of your
certainly
boots
try to
get
see if
muddy.
it splashes the water, and he would be, like, pounding on the river as hard as he can, trying to see the water splash.
Yeah. Like, you can splash it a bit. It takes a bit of effort, but you can. But every time you get anything to sink underneath, it pops up pretty fast over the water. That's
This
the
is a
other fun
most
thing about
amazing
the spell.
spell.
Oh yes, it makes stuff pop up.
Yeah, if you cast it while you're underwater, you just zip to the top.
Yeah, and so once I'm done with the ritual, I'll just casually stroll across the water because it lasts for an hour. So
Yeah. Easy enough to do.
Or he's gonna try and ice skate across the top of the surface of the river.
I'm gonna bounce from hoof to hoof just for fun, kind of like frolicking.
Okay.
So exciting. And then I'm gonna look for any water we encounter along our way, like any puddles or whatever. We're gonna go across those too, just for fun, like a kid with new rain boots kind of deal.
There's not a lot once you cross the river and start making your way to town. But yeah. So you guys continue. About another 10 minutes of walking, you reach the road that turns back towards the north and heads into the city. And continue on. And you arrive in the city of Hamlet. This one is a little bit nicer, a little bit larger than the Hamlet to the north. One thing you do notice when you walk in is that there is a group of 4 people walking down the middle of the road about 1,000 feet ahead of you. You do recognize them from the back.
Who is our friends?
It is the other party. They have arrived in the morning before you.
cool. Let's meet up, share stories. We might just be able to
Yeah.
head off into the get supplies or talk to somebody who knows about the folly before heading off as they investigate further.
Yeah, it'd be nice to save some.
So you're gonna just run up and catch them, or do you want to, use magic to talk to them from 1,000 feet away?
No, I'm not going to waste a sending.
I'm thinking that we sneak up on them and get a surprise round and knock them all out.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Everybody, go ahead and make a stealth check.
Yeah, why would we not just shout out to them and say, "Hey, what's up?"
I don't know. You guys do lots of things
Yeah.
that are weird.
Let me rephrase. Zeradig shouts to them, "Hey, what's up?"
They turn, look, and they see you, and they wave. We're trying to find out the question that Alondiel asked us last night.
Great.
Well, we
Us
did
too.
what gathering we could down south, so we were gonna head up this way. We think there might be something in the swamps about the folly, and we think that may be related to the children disappearing. So.
How about you guys track down the question in this town, and we will go to the swamps? Zerdig says to them.
Okay. Well, you did tell us to come here anyway, so That's fine by us.
I mean, I like going in the swamp. That sounds fun. We
Cool.
were gonna check real quick if there were any possible guides in the area.
Yeah, let's get a guide and go hit that swamp.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you look for a guard in or not a guard, a guide in the city. You begin asking around and get very similar answers to that from North Hamlet. Is that not many people venture further south into that? As you get further south, it becomes a lot harder to walk through as the ground becomes muddy and mucky and you sink into it. For a lot of them, this city has a lot more halflings than the other one did, so for a lot of them, it goes all the way up to the top of their chest, to where it's just their heads basically that still stay out of it. Is how deep that it can get in various places. Um, there are a few people that have gone there, but not many are willing to take you. They do suggest that you look for a small town to the south known as Branbu. That is kind of on the northern edge of where the ground begins to change.
Did you say most of this town is halflings?
There's a lot more halflings in this town than the other town. Yes. So it's still predominantly human, but the number of halflings significantly outweighs that in the other hamlet.
Should we assist the other team in discerning information about disappearances before we head into the swamp?
I'm confident, ready to go into the swamp already. At least going down to Branbu.
Zerdig as well.
Because we can communicate with them, and I'm pretty darn gung-ho about that statue being directly related, and if we can figure out more about what Typhon was doing, we might have a clearer understanding of what's happened.
Understood. I will follow your lead. I am concerned that this town is predominantly halfling, and the disappearances from North Hamlet were predominantly children. I wonder if there is a size issue that determines the missing individuals.
We do know that at least some halflings were taken. That was one of the recent ones she remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she
Correct.
talked about a little halfling girl going missing.
One of the light hands.
A little halfling girl would be very small.
Yeah.
One of the abandoned houses looked like it was sized for halflings or smaller individuals. As we start heading south out of the town, I'm going to kind of keep an eye out for other what appears to be abandoned houses, abandoned structures.
So you want to venture further into town first? Because you guys
I
came in, basically ran 1,000 feet into the city to talk to your friends, and then are turning
Yeah,
to leave.
I would just leave and let them handle the city.
along the outskirts, nothing that's outside of our way.
Okay.
Are you sure you don't want to get some lunch?
It's
I
just
mean,
after breakfast time.
yeah, it's like 10 a.m. or something, right? Like 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's been like 3 hours since you left the other
Yeah,
city.
so it's like 9 to 10, somewhere in that range. Assuming we are a responsible early rising group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I totally wasn't assuming that. So,
Because you're a
it's
lazy
a
cat that
fantasy
likes to sleep all
universe.
day.
It's a fantasy universe. We're well rested inside of 6 hours.
clearly that is fantasy. No, I was just thinking that would give us a chance to look into the city, but we don't have to like step on anybody's toes. Just throwing that out there.
I mean, I'm fine with hanging out just a little bit to see if there is a guide, but if there isn't, then eh. I don't see a ton of reason to stay around here and interrupt their investigation if that sort of thing doesn't exist here. But we can pop in and ask.
Yeah, we'll just tell them that. I'll tell Granite that we can send this evening with findings as we follow our new lead.
Okay. Fair enough. Easy to do. So you'll turn and begin heading south into Typhon's Folly proper and continue on making your way. You head south, and just as the sun is beginning to set, you can see the ground up ahead is beginning to shift into more of the muck and mud that they were talking about. And you can see that there are a few structures built along the edge as the ground begins this transition.
Are there any foot trails, or is this? It's not well traveled this direction south, right?
Correct. It's not traveled at all. There's not like a road or anything.
Do the structures look like they're inhabited or derelict?
They look inhabited.
Okay.
So all in all, from what you can see, there's about 10 different buildings here. You continue on making your way. Are you going to approach the buildings?
I'll talk and see if this is Branbu.
Okay. Yeah, so you make your way. As you get close, you all begin to sink to where it's about your ankle deep into this mud and muck, and it begins to slow you down as you travel.
Ugh.
But you get up to the buildings, and they are grouped together. They're in what would definitely resemble a small village, and there are a few people that are still out as the sun is going down. But this definitely seems like it could be a small city. Small village at that.
I'll try and find a bigger looking building that looks like they might be able to house extra people.
Okay. So none of the buildings here look like they are large enough to support extra people. None of them seem to be the kind of inn or place there. You definitely get the idea that this isn't a place that expects or gets visitors.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is there spots out of the muck other than like the houses?
Not particularly. So as you travel further south, it just gets worse. So you could head further north and then come back in the daylight, back to where you were on dry land.
I mean, we're pretty much here. I guess we can just talk to somebody, say like, "Hey."
Yeah.
If
So
they tell us to shoo, then
right. So a couple people are out and about. Particularly, you see a half elf male who is talking with this kind of gray, scaly looking creature that you would identify easily as a lizard folk.
I'll wave. Say apologies for the intrusion. Me and my friends seem to we've made our way here, and it is getting quite dark and mucky. I am Alandil. And I leave an
They
opening for them to.
they turn and look at you and go, interesting. We don't get many visitors out here. What brings you down to our small little village?
We are investigating uh, disappearances of children and others, and um, we have inclinations and reason to believe that it is potentially related to the Folly and Typhon. Would this happen to be Branbu?
This is Branbu.
We were told that we might be able to find um, assistance with people who know the Folly and the lands better.
We're trying to find a specific statue that we've had a divination of, and we know it's somewhere in the folly, and we're attempting to locate it because we believe it may be the source of troubles.
We've got a statue.
I pull out my book and I flip to it. I'm like, have you seen this statue?
They're like, "Oh yeah, that's our statue."
Nah, doesn't look familiar. Ours is of a woman holding a baby.
Oh, is it nearby?
I mean, it's near-ish, so, but probably want to wait till morning to go.
Is it near ruins?
No, it's not always there. Actually, it's kind of cool. It comes and goes.
Well, that sounds very intriguing.
Yeah, it's
Is
cool.
there any lore surrounding this statue of yours?
No,
No lore. How long has it been around? A statue that only appears sometimes?
as long as I've been here.
All right. Is there a place we can stay the night?
How many of you are there?
Do a quick head count because it keeps changing. There's
There's 6.
5 of us.
The 6 of us.
now,
7 if you count Z2.
which we don't. Z2 is not a citizen.
So
For tax purposes, Z2 is medical equipment.
How dare you?
For tax purposes,
Okay.
obviously he's a family.
we could probably split you and get you in a couple of our different houses, but there's not room for all of you in one of our houses here.
That'll be fine.
My name's Kavorn, and that's the half-elf gentleman. And
Pleasure to meet you. I don't
the-
actually take up much room, so
the lizard folk turns. He goes, I am Ipu, and you most definitely take up a lot of room. You are quite large.
thank you. I'm gonna do a little turn. I'm very proud of my size.
He
I meant
makes up for
while
me.
sleeping. Yeah.
I do not require a bed.
Well, we weren't offering you beds, we were offering you a place to sleep. Those are very different things.
I'm gonna just have Ore carry me around tonight then, rather than trying to
Being-
pretend like I sleep in a
A place to sleep out of the muck would be quite welcome. Thank you for your graciousness.
Mhm. He goes, Kavorn says, I can take 2 of you. There's plenty of room on my floor for 2 of you, but beyond that, it's going to get crowded. And Ipa's like, yeah, I can take another 2 of you. And the last 2 of you, let's see who we can find here.
I
And they
just need
begin
to
3
stand.
of
I
us
talking.
are fine with a chair.
I don't even need a chair. I'm able to stand for the evening.
All right, I've got a
We
couple
don't- we
chairs
don't
you can
actually
sit in
take up-
then, but
We don't take up much room at all, technically. Like,
yeah, you
You
guys
just
are a
pop
very
your
condensed
room.
party when you sleep.
yeah, we're very smooshed.
Because, you know, you have people that just trance, and so they can just sit instead of laying down, and then,
I turn into a small ring.
you know. Okay.
I'm
Yes.
just imagining Ore tied to the ceiling, like that picture of the kid with the duct tape.
Okay, so 4 of you then I guess we'll go to Cavorn. So because you can put a couple in chairs and then 2 on the floor. And
then I'll
I
just
then I
hang out
guess
on Ore's, like,
yeah, I was gonna
so Ore
say,
can hold me.
or I can just hold the ring. So yeah, all of you can just go to Cavorn's or Ipu, whichever one you want, the half elf or the lizard folk. Whose
And
place
next
would you
level,
like to go stay at?
yeah.
You guys do
Sure.
very much condense down when you sleep. Holy crap!
I don't mind.
Very, very small
Are-
footprint.
Are lizard folk? Do they have the like alien intelligence thing here, or are they more like normal people? Because like
They're
normally they're like unknowable kind of.
so they're like somewhere kind of in between.
Okay.
Sadzi's gonna have the most experience with them, because they live all over the wilds in the swamp. But the rest of you have seen them before.
We should hang out at the lizard folk's house.
Kind of wanted to hang out with Corn.
You can go hang out with him. That's okay.
Okay.
I'll go to the lizard folks' house.
I mean by hang out, like it's just gonna be until we go to sleep. We're just gonna chill somewhere.
I'm gonna stand in the doorway of the lizard folks' house.
Okay.
Hopefully he doesn't find that intimidating.
All right. So is it just Alondiel that's going with Cavorn then?
So you
Elf
go with him, so he's not by himself.
Okay. So elves
Double
stick
elf
together.
spy.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you guys can curl up or sit in chairs, whichever you prefer, since you're the only 2 in Cavorn. Ore's gonna stand there holding Mizeki's ring, and then Ito and Sadzi will curl up on the floor. They're fairly hard
Nice.
wood. It's hard to get comfortable. But you are all able to take a long rest, recover any of your spell slots that you spent, etc.
Did we want to do ascending to that other party again?
Oh yeah. Made it to Branboo. Resting. We'll check out the local statue.
Find
Looking forward to
anything?
What
hearing
you
from
Question
find.
mark? Yeah.
Okay. You get a reply back. Children went missing over 100 years ago. Blame the other city.
Same.
Ah, shoot. Yeah, we should
Unfortunately, I
follow
can't
up that.
respond back to him with that true.
Do you have another spell slot?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I did because I ritual cast. Yeah, I'll ping him up again. With North Hamlet. Let's see. North Hamlet blames South Hamlet for missing children. What else? At least that's hardly any words. Do you want to send anything else?
Very mucky here. We think there might be a lead on the statue.
Okay, sure.
How are you doing?
Iron Whale protects.
There you go.
Because I'm chatting with Granite.
Okay. All right. The response comes back. That's good to know. We'll go report to the council, as the mayor asked us to take them a letter. Since they don't
This
hear
is of
from the
South
council.
Hamlet?
Yes.
Are we along their way coming back?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
Hey, we didn't lie. When we return, we will give the letter.
Yeah.
The other one's just gonna get there first and get the counselor ship. They're gonna hate us so much. Oh no. We're just never going back to Hamlet.
Remember, we automatically destabilize political regions anytime we enter them. It's just a passive
Seriously.
effect.
Who all? Never mind.
Almost a party causing political upheaval since 601.
It's just 600.
Oh, 600. Yeah. 601 hasn't happened yet, right? That's the next King's Festival?
Well, the next King's Festival, it's the day before the year switches over. Is always the King's Festival. Is the last day of the year.
Got ya.
So, and that's coming up. At this point, it's only about 4.5 months away. So,
You know, we need to merch that shirt because that'd be really good.
feel free to design it. You got the logo.
I'll work on it.
I am not good at that kind of thing, but yeah. If anybody's out there interested in purchasing merch, throw it in the Twitch chat or in a YouTube comment if you're watching this on YouTube later. Feel free to tell us about it. What you'd like to see.
I went to Couché and all I got was a bunch of gnolls murdered.
Almost a party. Scared of Shadow. Since.
We're not scared of him. We want to kick his butt. We just know we can't currently.
Because you're
The
scared.
almost a party dinner party.
Almost a party. What's this
Almost
town
a
got in the
dinner
way
party.
of food?
You know, if I switch characters 2 more times, I would have played as many characters as the rest of the party combined. All right, let's sleep.
Okay. So you can all go ahead and take your long rest. In the morning, you all wake up a bit sore. For those of you that slept on the floor, so I guess that's just Ito and Satsi.
Yeah.
So
Suckers.
but everybody else is fine.
Oh, my aching joints, standing here in the doorway all night long.
Okay. In the morning, Kavorn will come down to Zerdik and Alandio and be like, "So, how'd you sleep?"
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, nothing to complain about. Thank you for housing us.
Yeah. So, that statue you were looking for, what do you know about it?
We believe it is a statue of Typhon.
And actually, sort of
Now
a
you think-
tangent, but have you heard of any children going missing in the region as of late? We're here investigating on behalf of the council.
As of late, nah. But every family that's still here has lost someone in their history.
Let me
Most
guess.
recently,
100 years ago?
Nah, most recently I think was 50 years ago.
Interesting. And you say everyone who's still in this town has lost someone in the recent past century?
Well, I mean, not in the past century necessarily, but every family that's still here has lost somebody since they've been here. Maybe it was only like 30 years ago. Time just kind of gets away from you after a while.
And how do these stories usually go? Did someone did they venture out into the swamp or something and disappear, or are they taken from inside the city? We've heard some other reports from around Typhon's Folly that we're trying to follow up on.
They ventured out into the swamp and then just never came back. Most of them were going out hunting or to gather some loose vegetation. A few of them were paying a visit to the statue we're going to take you to this morning.
I'm excited
Okay.
to see it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that information. That helps us in our investigation. And I'm also excited to see the statue.
Yeah, it sounds neat. Hopefully, it's not tied to some sort of horrific children stuff.
All right. Ipo comes down to the rest of you in her house. So, you ready to go?
Uh,
Yes. I'm curious if you've heard of any missing persons in your town over the last 150 years or so.
Yeah, people go missing all the time. Most recently was one of the human children in the what's their name? The I mix up the human families. They kind of all look alike to me. I think it was the Stone family. They lost one of their kids. Um, brother's all grown up now. He's just 2 doors down. If you want to go talk to him, um, I believe his name is Franklin.
Franklin, that is peculiar. We just recently met a Franklin. Um,
I think it's Portal.
and how long ago was this missing human missing?
I think his brother. So I think Franklin's in his 60s. So like 40 to 50 years ago.
Interesting. Are most of the missing persons in your history children?
Not always. Sometimes they're teenagers, young adults.
But usually young. None of the elderly have gone missing.
I mean, when they go missing, we just assume that they died out in the swamp somewhere.
Have any remains been recovered in any of these situations?
Um, you really haven't been out into the swamp yet, have you?
Not at all.
No.
You'll sink pretty quickly, so people that get stuck and pulled under, you're not gonna find them unless you know exactly where to look.
Is there someone in town that we may be able to hire as a guide to take us into the swamp?
I can take you. Depends on how far
You're
you want
very
to go, though.
Are there any ruins or statues deep in the swamp? I know you did mention or was mentioned a statue of a woman carrying a child, but are there any statues of men within range of your guidance?
Not that I've ever found. So,
Understood. We may need to convene with the rest of our party to make arrangements, but thank you for the offer to take us into the swamp. We may take you up on that very soon.
all right. So
If
the
everybody
go ahead.
doesn't mind moving slow, um, after I ritual cast um, water walk, we can walk for 50 minutes and I can recast it, so we just keep it going
How many times can you ritual cast a spell?
all day long. It just takes me 10 minutes
Per
each
casting.
time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Cool.
So so we can walk for 50 minutes. I can recast it to keep it up and keep going so we don't sink in the mud.
So find a nice high point to stand every 50 minutes so you can cast it again. Got it.
Like, well, it'll still be up while I'm casting it. So that's why if I do it it lasts for an hour. So every 50 minutes gives me enough time to re-up it without it closing.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's do this.
And I can do 10 people, so I'll offer it to um, our guides that want to take us that are willing to take us to their statue.
Okay. Yeah. Kavorn and Ipu are both willing to take you out to the statue. They let you know it's about 10 minutes outside of the town, further into the swamp. But when you offer to cast this spell, they're like, maybe we can get there faster. Not having to wade through it, you can move much faster. So you take your 10 minutes, cast the spell, and the 9 of you, I guess, because Z2 would also be affected, so you've got enough for that. Make your way south further into the swamp, and you take about 5 minutes of walking, and you come across this statue, which is of a woman in nice fine robes holding a baby. As you go and you read, there's a little plaque at the base of it. And it says, "The baby is known to grant wishes. Sing your desire, and if it's found worthy, it shall be granted."
For an EPO, has anybody, you guys, anybody from the village sung to the baby?
We've had a few, yeah. They've had great success. They've helped keep our village strong, and you know,
Cool.
we're glad it's here right now. It's not always here.
Do you know why it might disappear? Does it go away if somebody makes a bad wish? Or any known connections to anything?
No, it's definitely been here after people have made a bad wish. That's a good question why it disappears.
I want to do a religion check to see what I might be able to identify if there's any divine connection to this statue.
Okay. Go ahead and make a religion check.
12.
Okay.
While Ore is having this conversation, or while Elondiel is having this conversation, Ore is going to walk up to the statue and very quietly to himself at the statue, wish to remember.
Okay. The sign
Gotta
specifically
sing.
does say "sing your desire."
I
So
got a 21 religion.
okay.
I like wishes. They're cool.
There is no obvious religious symbolism on this statue at all.
Does the lady holding the baby remind me of any divines?
No.
The divine
Okay.
of babies.
Ore does do it in a sing song. I wish to remember.
The sound of music.
So you sing, and for a moment, everything around you seems to stop. You don't hear anything. The breeze that had been blowing seems to stop. The statue seems to shift. The child raised up slightly in the mother's arms. Nobody else is noticing this, by the way. This is just what Ore is seeing. And you see the eyes of the baby light up for a moment in a flash of red. And then everything seems to go back to normal. Nothing seems to have happened to you. No memories come surging in.
Ore
That
got
sounds great.
very, very excited, and then instantly sinks into a little bit of despair that nothing has happened, and steps away from the statue and back to the group. there is the appearance of a disappointed face on the mask.
You okay, RA? Sir Dig will notice and go over to him.
Kavorn will also notice and come over and be like, "Didn't grant your wish."
I feel a loss. Did the rest of you see the eyes on the baby glow? Or any
What are you
shift
talking about?
or movement?
No?
No?
Nope.
Kavorn goes,
I do
that's
lean
normal.
in closer to the statue upon hearing that it glowed and moved.
Is that common for those who have made a wish to be disappointed?
I mean, anybody that makes a wish that doesn't come true, often disappointed. We've found those that have had the best success at getting their wishes granted. Describe what they want, why they want it, how it will help others. But sometimes it doesn't work even then.
Has there been any record of those who have made more than one attempt?
Usually, the second attempt, for those of us that have done it, nothing happens at all.
Thank you.
With this additional information, I am going to have Mizeki go up and sing. I'm not good at singing, so I'm not going to sing. But I wish for guidance to help the lost children or to get them vengeance.
Okay.
And he's going to turn that into like a little song about the fact that they've been lost and that no one knows where they are, and he wants to help bring their spirits home.
Okay. So you do your song, and again, as you finish, everything again seems to just go still around you. You don't hear anything, you don't feel the wind. You notice the statue move. The statue seems to lift up the baby just a bit so that you can see its eyes better. A moment
Look into
passes,
the baby's eyes.
and the eyes flash yellow for a moment. And then everything comes back. Nothing happens. You don't get any inspiration of how to go about this.
Was that within earshot of everybody else?
Depends on how loud he wanted to sing. How loud does
I mean,
Mizeki
yeah.
sing?
Yeah, he has no problem singing aloud.
Okay, yeah, then you all would have heard it.
I ask Kavorn if it is language agnostic in the songs, or if the common tongue is the best.
We've had people use all sorts of languages, so I think it understands them all.
Cool. Well, go big or go home, as they say. Alondiel will step up in Elvish and begin singing his song um, about there is much discomfort and disorder since the god has fallen. Iabar the Great is gone. What do we do? Who do we save? How can we help? This knowledge will bring peace to the land. It will bring us happiness and joy. It'll save us all from destruction. Please, oh please, help us.
Okay. So again,
I
everything around.
wanna know. Can you tell me? I wanna know what happened to Ayabar that night, and who did it and why.
All right.
Did you just turn this into a Disney song?
Apparently.
No.
All right. So again, everything goes quiet. And you feel the wind stop. The statue moves, lifts the baby so you can see its eyes. For a moment, you see the baby begin to move its mouth, and the eyes flash green. And you hear in your head, a long time ago, a man slew the kings. Someone has taken up his cause to slay the gods.
Oh, you called it. You called it.
I'm still all in on Elundiel's perspective on theology at this point.
You also have a peculiar feeling after this. Those eyes flashed the same green that your previous statue did.
Interesting.
None of the rest of us saw what happened to him, right? Or heard that?
Yeah. So you heard him sing, and then that was it.
Got ya.
Whoa. Let's go
Does the
over. I'm assuming it spoke to me in Elvish.
Yes, it returned in
Okay.
the language that you sang in.
I'm just
Zerdig, did
upset
you
that
hear that?
apparently my wish isn't big enough.
It was a beautiful song. He'll respond in Elvish, but he didn't hear any responses.
Oh,
Woof.
what'd the baby do for you?
It confirmed my greatest fears.
What?
As as we celebrate a Kingslayer here, some being has taken up the task of slaying the gods
That is
as a
way worse than I thought you
similitude.
meant. I thought your greatest fear was Arnwell's not the best.
My fear is that she might get ganked by this
Yeah, no,
poser
like,
who's going around taking her out.
yeah, this is way worse. Okay,
So someone is acting as Kingslayer against the Divines.
If the baby's to be believed.
What's
really
the
trust babies.
what's the race of the statue, the mother and child?
They are human.
Are human. Got it.
Zerdig is also going to sing a song to the statue in Elven, and it's going to sound a little bit like the Pokemon theme song. And he wants to create the very best gun there ever was.
He
Okay.
wants to make. Yeah, well, why though? Don't forget to explain how it's beneficial to everybody in your song. Is a recommendation that I remind him. Not just what you want, but how it's beneficial.
To advance the cause of science and innovation.
Okay.
Good one.
And because it'd be pretty sweet.
Everything.
And to defeat Team Rocket.
Everything around you. Well, now you don't get a rocket. Everything around you goes still and silent. You see the statue move, the baby lifted to where you can see its eyes better, and they flash red.
Freaking baby. All right. He's like, it didn't work.
So far, it sounds like unless you request something real big, no good. What color were the baby's eyes for you?
Red.
I got yellow. I don't know what those colors mean.
Try again later. Doesn't sound like a no.
Huh.
Anybody else want to interact with this statue? That's 4 of 6 of you.
If nobody else goes back, Ore's going to go back one more time.
Okay. It doesn't sound like anybody else wants to go, so.
I don't have any wishes to make.
Nothing? There's no big desires that
I can't
Sodsey
think of a good
has?
way to rephrase my question that it
I
might get green, or if assuming green is good.
yes.
Yeah,
I confirm I got green eyes.
Yes,
I don't know what that means, but I can't think of any way to rephrase my question.
I
Though I also
suspect
saw
the
green eyes
concept
before.
of I suspect the concept of big things winning does not apply to asking for just a very big sandwich.
Make a
or
really good case for it.
Ore doesn't have a lot of expectation, but he feels like he has to try one more time.
Okay. Are you singing the same song, or are you singing for something different?
A little different.
Okay.
In the tune of Foreigner. I want to know who I am. I think it
I
will
want
help
you to
them.
show me.
Okay. So you sing your song and your reason, and nothing happens at all.
Ore's deeply, deeply heartbroken a little bit more and just kind of sadly walks back to the group. The face is certainly sad, just kind of forlorn and heartbroken.
Kavorn will come over and put his arm around you and be like, I told you, the people that have tried twice, nothing happens the second time. But
Ito steps up and he actually sings a song related to. He basically wants the statue to give Ore another chance.
okay.
I wish that this guy got more wishes.
So you
Because it's really beneficial.
Precisely.
you
He's so
step up
old,
and
and that
sing your song.
knowledge could save so many people with that ancient memory restored. What he could share, who he could
Everything
help.
goes still around you and silent. The statue moves to where you can see the baby better, and the eyes flash red.
I suspect the red does not mean anything good.
Yeah. Nothing else
Yes.
happens.
Mizeki would like to attempt to convince Sadzi to wish for information about the location of the fertility temple.
Remember, it has to be something big.
That's a pretty big deal. A lost
Or
temple of the two
Typhon's
gods.
secret lab.
Yeah, I tried that. It didn't work.
Or the location of what's
Shadow.
Fingerbot's missing thing.
I don't care where Shadow is. I'm thinking long game. I want to know where this secret temple of the two gods is that's on her homeland, so that I can potentially restore the desert. And he will explain all of this to Sadzi in the hopes that she will attempt to make a wish for him.
Y'all gotta pick one wish.
That is one wish.
Oh, but y'all were chiming in. You also wanted to know where Shadow was,
you're
and.
No. The temple is important. It's large scale. It involves the gods.
So does
And it
Finger's
sounds like we
ring.
might be running out of time for the gods to do things.
So Satsu,
or
you
where
doing it?
Typhon's secret lab is and how to get into it.
I'm trying to figure out a way to do it and not sound like shite. So
Right. Well, I mean, you don't have to personally sing yourself if that's what you're worried about. It's just your character has to sing it. And you just have to decide what you want to essentially ask for. And you don't have to ask for what Mazeki is. Like, if you have anything that you want at all, information that you're curious about, things you want undone, Wish is a very powerful spell. Like, you guys are all, like, going super low scale, and I'm all like, okay.
I mean, no one ever expects to find a statue that's casting wish.
I wish I was level 20 so I could pwn the noobs, put an end to their fighting, and be in all the news.
What is level 20?
So, are you going to attempt to encapsulate those ideas?
I don't know. Should I just like sing? I'd like to teach the world to sing, because it's all like, what?
I
Under the
just wanna
tune
know
of
where my
"I'd like to buy the world a Coke."
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah,
Well,
but he just let you know, like,
they
it's
redid it,
wish
but yes.
wish, like spell wish. I could have gone much bigger.
But you know,
But
it's all
then again,
about
other
like
people went big and failed, so it's a balance
the
that
world
you got.
being in peace and all that shit. Pardon my French. Okay, so I guess since there's so much random crap going on. You know, we've got the gods potentially being assassinated. We've got Mizeki's homeland is a desert. Whatever the heck is going on with the Harringtons and Dampiers, potentially missing children. If there is some way to encapsulate all of this in, like, you know, a nice little melody, that'd be great. How can we fix this coming storm?
You should go with Motown for your style.
You got a suggestion for what song?
I was thinking genre specifically, but I mean, with that, I'd say, I don't know, Jackson 5. Go with Jackson 5, early Jackson 5.
Nice, Ito.
Hard to go wrong with some cook.
So what one thing do you want to convey to the statue, Satsi?
I don't know. How do we fix this?
That is
What is
what is this?
This entire coming storm. I don't know. I guess.
And you don't have
Saving-
to do anything. Like, you can just be like, nope, not interested. If Satsi wouldn't ever be interested. So don't feel pressured because Mazeki wants you to basically wish for his wish.
Feel pressured because Mazeki wants you to whisper his wish. And he's a
Go
great
your
god.
own road. Go your own
And
road.
to be fair, he tried his own wish on a thing that was entirely selfless and got maybe-ish. And also, his wish is largely selfish as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe is there a way to stop the potential assassination of the gods?
Okay.
I've been let down.
So you sing your song asking about this. And everything goes still and quiet. The statue raises to where you can see the baby. The mouth begins to move. The eyes flash green. And that is where we will end today's session.
Oh.
Cliffhanger.
Yay. I have been betrayed by my own family.
Oh,
I mean, you were all the ones that, wanted to end earlier now. And we have reached our new end
Sounds like
time.
it's fun.
No, it's
Plus, I
honestly,
think it's funny
good
to
cut off.
do this.
Good cut off.
So I do already know what they're going to say for all of those that are questioning it. So, but right. Okay. And we will see you all next week. So at the beginning of the video, my sound wasn't working, and so you guys missed a few things. So those of you that are still around, still listening to the end of this episode, just know that we are switching up our schedule a bit. So we will be playing next week, and then we will be going every other week for the duration of the summer months. So June, July, August, possibly September as well. So just don't expect us to be a weekly show. I know we've been kind of hit or miss, just dependent on how things going. But going forward, we will be every other week. Starting next week, we'll be playing, and then we will skip the following week. But thanks everybody for coming, for hanging out, for listening, and for chatting. And we will catch you all next time. Bye.
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 Bye.